Okay, coming into the HD storage room, you want to first come into the square right here. This is your doffing zone. This is your clean zone, right? This is the first place you walk in, and it's the last place you walk when you leave the room. So you want this area to be clean on your shoes so that you're not tracking hazardous material back into the pharmacy. So when you enter, baseline requirement is that you need booties to do anything. You only need one pair. This is not a sterile room. The second thing I'm gonna need is gloves, because unless I'm gonna stand here and look pretty, I'm gonna have to touch something. So I'm gonna go ahead and get gowned up all the way. Whatever activity that you're doing in here, this chart is gonna tell you what you need to wear for PPE depending on what activity that you do. So I'm gonna go ahead and gowned up all the way so that you will be able to see what it's like to take everything back off again, called doffing. So you've got a chemo gown, which always ties in the back. Don't wrap it in the front. And I'll put on a second pair of gloves, like if I was compounding.
So the first pair still goes on underneath the gown, and then the second pair goes over the cuff?
Correct. All right, so showing you around the room, here's all of our supplies. Everything that you're gonna need for IV compounding is stored in here now, and then it's gonna go through the pass-through into the chemo room. So we have an SOP that you guys will read that tells you everything you need to know about cleaning, checking chemo, compounding, PPE you need to wear. So it'll be in here. Definitely refer to it whenever you come in until you know what to do. And then all the various supplies that you might need. This is where our refrigerated chemo will be stored. This is a powder hood for compounding our hazardous drugs like spironolactone, zonisamide, hydroxyurea. This doesn't go very high, but you hold the button down, it goes up and down a little bit. This hood is sucking air in this way, going up the back, and it's being double HEPA filtered. On top of the fact that this room is negative pressure, it's not sterile, but everything is getting expelled out of the room and through filters and not out into the main pharmacy. Over here we have an intercom system. So you can press a button with your finger, or you can hit this with your knee. This button is gonna call two places. When you hit either of these buttons, it will ring in the chemo room, and it will ring at the front desk by the pharmacist. So if you're in the chemo room, if I wanna talk to you, they have to physically answer on the other side. Otherwise, if you're calling the pharmacist, they just need to pick up the phone themselves. Down here, we have compounding supplies. So anything you need to compound in here stays in here, and it gets washed in here. We don't want to mix our supplies back into the general area. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to take everything off. So if I have all of this stuff on, the first thing I'm going to do is take off my outer pair of gloves because they're the dirtiest. Now, I put them in the trace. If I only have one pair of gloves, I want to take off my booties first because I want to make sure I have some protection on my hands before I take off my booties. When you take off a chemo gown, you don't want to take your hands and grab from behind because you don't want to transfer chemo to your hair or to your clothes underneath. The way to take off a chemo gown is by gently grabbing from the front until you feel it separate in the back. And you're going to pull it down off you this way. This. Roll it up. This is a non-sterile room, so if you're going to be in and out a bunch in one day, you can keep the same chemo gown. And we have places to hang up your gown to save if you need it. Last thing I'll do is take off my last pair of gloves. And then I want to make sure I can wash my hands, but my sink is on the other side of the line of demarcation. The reason why is because you need to be able to wash your dishes while you're still fully gowned up. And we don't want to be tracking your fully gowned self to our line of demarcation or doffing area. So once I take everything off, I have my hands-free wave. And now I can go out into Central and wash my hands. Any questions?
Nope.